When we use data economics, the emphasis on the value of the dollar. The dollar is a mechanism by which we can match the resources that we have with the objectives that we wish to accomplish. The actual transaction is the use of a resource to accomplish an objective. In truth, the objective is the thing that gives anything value. If it doesn't have an objective, what you have as a resource doesn't have any value. I have gravel in the stream behind my house. I decide I need to put gravel on my driveway. I can easily get a wheelbarrow, get the gravel out of the stream, take it around to the front, to the driveway, and pour it out. I can do this as many times as I need. The value of the gravel is in the use that it makes. Now, obviously, I am not going to be putting gravel on the wall, my driveway every day. So my objective is accomplished. And this is one of the problems that people see in objective economics. Each time we start to accomplish an objective, we have to have the objective. And when we have accomplished that objective, we can dismiss it. It no longer exists. But it is the objective that gives anything value. If I want to mow my yard and have a mown yard, that's the objective. I can do two things. I can use my relationship with my boss to work some extra hours, using my time to get money. Then I can turn around and pay a lawn care specialist to mow my yard. This is two different transactions describing the same event. I am using my time to accomplish an objective. I can also take my lawnmower, which I happen to have, and which is a resource, and the time that it takes, and I can sit on that lawnmower, drive it around the yard, and when I've finished, I have a mowed yard. My objective is exactly the same thing that the other transaction occurred, except that it does not involve money. This is important because if we have an objective and we meet that objective by using the resources, which are not limited to goods and services, but if we do that, we have accomplished the objective. The important thing to understand is that it's an objective that counts. A transaction is the use of a resource to accomplish an objective. I decide I want to talk to my congressman. Rather than go to New York, I may call him a lobbyist. The lobbyist has a relationship with congressmen. and I can pay for his services. Then he talks to the congressman and tells him what I want to be said. I have gotten my objective of getting my ideas delivered to the congressman. But again, I could go to Washington, go to the congressman's office, sit down with him and talk with him, or I could pay the lobbyist. Now, data economics looks at the fact that I pay good money that I have earned in a separate part of the same transaction, or I can do the job myself. Services are those things which you hire or pay for. Resources can consist of anything that will allow you to accomplish an objective. I'm going to discuss a way in which uh, our data economics creates a problem for people. The objective of the landlord is to increase the income in money that he can get from a tenant. The objective of the tenant is to have a sound, safe place to put yourself where you will be able to stay and enjoy living. This situation is exacerbated by the Internal Revenue Service Code. The objective that the landlord has is to make more money in his bank account. The objective of the tenant is to have a place to stay. Now, he needs the resources to be able to afford a place to stay. In the meantime, with the passive attitude of the IRS toward rentals, the landlord can acquire rents that do not include a 13.5% employment tax payment. Now, if the person were to help a landlord and have to do the work that's necessary, there would have to be Social Security, or there would have to be employment security tax. That means that the landlord has a 13.5% increase. That means that a landlord has a 13.5% benefit from the tax code that allows the rental of houses to be a very lucrative job. Unfortunately, this is such a great problem that we have in this country right now. No affordable housing guarantee. Now, there are rents that are purely passive. A triple net lease in which the tenant pays the taxes, pays the maintenance and repairs, and pays the insurance is known as a triple net lease. In this case, the lease is such that the owner receives a flat rate and has no expense to be involved. Now, if he hires a property management company, both the employees of that company and the owner of that company have to pay Social Security, Medicare, and other taxes. But if the proprietor does not, that is a truly passive situation. Unfortunately, almost all rentals in which a person has bought a property and has taken the care to rent it out and takes in rent does not recognize that the objective of the person who rents is to have a quiet, peaceable place to stay. So he is encouraged to charge as much rent as he can possibly get. And then fail to maintain the property. A property owner in Cuyahoga County, according to the Cleveland Plain Dealer, failed to maintain the elevator of a 5-story building. The people in the building were old. And 5 stories was not just a matter of not being able to get up and down easily. It was a health hazard to those who had to walk up 5 stories to get to the apartment. Essentially, these people were isolated in their apartment until the elevator was working. The city involved had the option of condemning the building under those circumstances. If they condemned it, the property owner would have a certain amount of time to repair the default and get the house back in a reasonable condition. If not, then the city would have the power to make the repairs themselves with a lien against the owner of property and the owner. Since this would be a matter of fine rather than repairs, this problem would mean that the owner of the property could not deduct maintenance and repairs. I financed a study by students at the College of Worcester, which compared the concerns of the citizens, the constituents, and the concerns of the representative. The national issues were very clear in the representative's concern, but had no reason to be, uh, of concern to the constituents. On the other hand, the concerns of the citizens included items that were in the requirements of the local government, and the congressman was not in position to do that. Two items on that study stood out: affordable housing and homelessness. Both of these are the result of the mistaken idea that dollars are valuable. Because they cannot be used for any objective, they are in fact worthless. A bank account with many dollars in it that cannot be used to accomplish an objective is worthless. Now, in a book called Casting Class in a Southern Town, John Dollard made the suggestion that the blacks and the wealthy got along fine, while the people who were having to try to get things done were struggling. Neither the blacks nor the wealthy had objectives. The blacks could not have an objective because if they had an objective, they would have been considered uppity and subject to being lynched. Remember, this is 1930. On the other hand, the wealthy, if they had an objective, they could easily pay somebody to accomplish that objective. The important thing to understand is that everybody in this life has to meet objectives at every day. We have to avoid hunger. That's breakfast, lunch, and supper. We have to have a place that's competent, it's comfortable, and easy to stay in. That's an objective. We have to have clothes to wear. That's an objective. These things allow you to use the statistical method because everybody has to replace their food daily. And you can easily come up with a sample of 30. There are other items, though, such as buying a house, buying a car, and any objective that does not have a reasonable number of actions involved that do not qualify to be a statistical or data economy matter. It is important to understand that to be a sound economy, the people need to be able to accomplish their objectives. And in accomplishing their objectives, they are able to live a life of peace. It's time we look closely at our economic status. Thank you.